for justice includes housing experts and people with skills in developing relationships with the unhoused. Organizers have come down to this encampment every week since January, meeting with people, developing relationships in preparation.
Well, welcome in. I'm Ariel Onstad, and right now we are waiting for Governor Kemp to begin a news conference in which he is going to call for the release of an Israeli hostage held in Gaza. Now, we know that the governor and First Lady Marty Kemp are going to be standing together there at the podium you see. This is at the Georgia Capitol and is set to take place in just minutes. Let me tell you a little bit about the backstory as we wait for this to begin. We know the name of this hostage to be Evyatar David, and his brother Eli David has been instrumental in calling for his release and spreading the word about the conditions he's enduring as a hostage in Gaza. David was taken hostage by Hamas October 7th, 2023. He was attending the Nova Music Festival there in southern Israel when he was captured. And since then, he has spent 2 birthdays in captivity, hundreds of days in captivity, and now his family has made their way to Georgia's capital to call for his release. They've been enlisting the help of politicians across the nation and here in our state to spread the word. We know just in May, about a month or 2 ago, Senator John Ossoff called for Evyatar David's release from the Senate floor, and he spoke for a couple hours about this, calling for David's release, the conditions he was experiencing. And we know that this is set to take place in just a few minutes. So if you're just joining our live stream, you're taking a look at the Georgia Capitol where Jewish leaders, Israeli leaders, and Georgia state leaders are there waiting for this news conference to begin. We know that Governor Brian Kemp, as well as First Lady Marty Kemp, are going to call for the release of Evyatar David, a hostage being held by Hamas in Gaza. At this time, roughly 50 hostages are still believed to be held in Gaza. 20 are believed to still be alive. We're waiting for this news conference to begin. And if you're wondering the significance of why this hostage and why is the governor speaking about Evyatar David, it's really because of the results of Evyatar's brother Eli. He has been traveling the nation, speaking about the conditions his brother has endured and raising awareness for the hostages still kept in Gaza. We know that a number of Jewish organizations and synagogues here in Atlanta have adopted Evyatar David. Adopting a hostage has been part of a program by advocates and activists to spread awareness for the hostages that are still being held in Gaza. And we know that both Marty Kemp and Governor Brian Kemp are going to call for his release, but it will also be members of Evyatar David's family, as well as other Israeli and Jewish faith leaders. So we're just waiting for this to begin. Since Evyatar was captured by Hamas on October 7th of 2023, we know he has spent 2 birthdays in captivity, as well as hundreds of days in the tunnels in Gaza. This is according to Evyatar David's brother Eli, who has been traveling the nation, raising awareness about what his brother is experiencing. Now, Eli, in his effort in this, has said he avoids focusing on politics and wants more to focus on the human element of this ongoing tragedy and how the war has affected people on all sides. He's been speaking about what his brother has endured. We know that in the hostage release that Hamas conducted with Israel, in the latest hostage release, Evyatar David and one of his friends actually watched that release, but were not released as part of that deal by Hamas. So they were able to watch other hostages go free, but they remained in captivity. That is something Eli David has spoken about and talked to advocates, politicians, and the general public about as he tries to raise awareness for what his brother has been experiencing. So if you're just joining our live stream here on Fox Local, welcome in, or on YouTube, it's great to have you. We are waiting for a news conference to begin at Georgia's state capitol, where our governor and First Lady are going to be joined by members of an Israeli hostage's family as they call for his release and the release of all hostages still being held in Gaza. We know that roughly 50 hostages are still being held by Hamas in Gaza. 20 are believed to still be alive. And the governor and First Lady are going to call for the release of all the hostages. Back in May, May 20th, Senator John Ossoff, Georgia senator, delivered a speech on the Senate floor in which he demanded the release of Evyatar David and all other Israeli hostages still being held in Gaza by Hamas. He was joined by several synagogues and Jewish organizations across Atlanta who have joined him in adopting Evyatar's case to raise awareness and spread the word advocating for his release. Evyatar was kidnapped by Hamas on October 7, 2023. He was attending the Nova Music Festival. His brother Eli has talked about how Evyatar wanted to be a music producer and had hopes of traveling Asia. And that was one of the reasons why he attended the music festival, was because he loved music and wanted to learn a little bit more about his craft. And as we wait for this to begin, we know that Jewish synagogues, Israeli leaders, and other Jewish leaders are going to be joining Evyatar's family and the governor and the First Lady at the Capitol. So we're just waiting for that to begin. You're taking a look at a live picture there from the Georgia Capitol, where you can see law enforcement officers waiting nearby, the podium off to the right off screen, but we will be getting ready soon for this to begin. So we know that when we have begun looking at this case, Eli David has been instrumental in advocating for his brother's release. Eli David is the oldest brother of the David family. Evyatar is his younger brother, and the two brothers have a younger sister. So there are 3 kids in all. And both Eli and his younger sister have been speaking out about their brother Evyatar, who was kidnapped by Hamas. And they have been advocating for his release, focusing, as Eli likes to say, on the human elements of these ongoing tragedy and what the hostages and those affected by this war are experiencing between Gaza and Israel. He says he does not want to focus so much on the politics, but more on the human element of what this means to families who are wanting to make sure that their loved ones come home to them. We know that roughly 50 hostages are still being held in Gaza by Hamas. 20 are still believed to be alive. Senator John Ossoff spoke about this on the Senate floor on May 20th. He talked a lot about what Evyatar David had been experiencing in Hamas captivity. And we know about this because Hamas has released videos showing proof of life of Evyatar and other hostages. But we're just waiting for this to begin. The camera has shifted back, you can see, to show us a picture of the podium. You can see the flag of Israel, America, and Georgia there near the podium as we wait for Governor Brian Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp to come out and speak about this. Just about 5 minutes ago, we watched as a aide came out and ushered people to sit and told people to make their way in if they were wanting to attend this news conference, to sit down and wait for it to begin. So that kind of gives us a clue that it looks like they're getting ready. People have taken their seats. We're just waiting for Evyatar David's family members to come out, as well as our Georgia governor and First Lady. We know that besides Georgia Governor Brian Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp, Evyatar David's family will be there, most likely Eli, his older brother. And if you're just joining us, Eli has really been instrumental in advocating for the release of his brother and all hostages. And if you're wondering the significance of why this specific hostage, it's because he's one of 50 still believed to be alive being held by Hamas in Gaza. He has not been released, but Hamas has released videos showing proof of life. And they have been advocating, his family has been advocating tirelessly since, to bring him home. We know that Jewish organizations here in Atlanta and synagogues have adopted Evyatar's case as a way to spread awareness about what he's been experiencing and to encourage his release. So it looks like we have First Lady Marty Kemp walking out along with Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp. They're beginning to make their way to the podium now, shaking hands. We can see Eli David, that is Evyatar's older brother, also behind Georgia's governor as they make their way to the podium to begin to speak about this. So let's go ahead and get ready to listen in as they shake hands and finish their introductions. They're walking up to the podium now, and let's listen in.
And First Lady Marty Kemp, for all you have done and continue to do to support Israel in its defensive wars against Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the other terror armies of the Middle East, as well as to keep the release of Israel's hostages at the top of our country's priorities in the region. Thank you also to Anat Sultan Dadon, Consul General of Israel to the Southeastern United States, who is here with us today. Anat will be transitioning from her post in Atlanta and moving back to Israel shortly. We deeply appreciate the Consul General's service to the state of Israel and to the state of Georgia. And a heartfelt welcome to Eli David, brother of hostage Evyatar David, and their cousin Matan Eshel, who traveled here from Israel to share Evyatar's story with us and to push for freedom for Evyatar and for the remaining hostages. My name is Bart Cohen, and I'm a fourth-generation Atlantan and a local business owner. I'm married to an Israeli-American, and my wife and I are raising 3 feisty young Georgians in Toco Hills. Governor and Mrs. Kemp, together with the Jewish community of Georgia and the rabbis and leaders who are gathered today, I wish to express our gratitude for the deep, historical, faith-driven connection that you and so many Georgians have with Israel, and for the support you provide as Israel struggles to defend its very existence in recent years. The Gaza hostage crisis is a dark chapter that must be closed so that the people of Israel and the region can begin to rebuild their lives and pursue the peace that we have dreamed of and prayed for so long. Pidyon Shvuyim is the Hebrew term for redeeming captives. Redeeming captives is a religious duty enshrined in the Bible, in the books of Genesis and Leviticus. When our brothers and sisters are held hostage, we are required to fight for their release and to harness our collective energy and prayers towards the cause of their freedom. All of the remaining hostages must be freed. This is not a political issue. This is an appeal to basic human decency.
Today, we will hear from Eli about his brother, Evyatar. Evyatar was kidnapped from the Nova dance party on October 7th, 2023, by Hamas terrorists. Evyatar has been kept for 643 days in brutal conditions in the dungeons of Gaza. My name is Eden Doniger. I'm the general counsel of a global tech company, which has its North American headquarters here in Atlanta. I'm also married to an Israeli-American, and I also have 3 daughters we're raising here in Sandy Springs. And Bart and I, and a few other Jewish Atlantans, including Aaron Diamond, whom a lot of the press here is familiar with today, we met Eli at an event where he shared his story in May. And we were so moved by his words, but even more so, we were inspired by his unending resilience and his hope in spite of his brother's horrifying circumstances, and how this crisis has destroyed his family's lives for almost 2 years. So with tremendous support from Benjamin Anthony of the Miriam Institute and his team, we pulled together a sort of small grassroots team to rally around Eli and Evyatar's family, their mother Galia, father Avishai, and sister Ayala, who've been traveling the world for almost 2 years pleading for help for Evyatar and all of the hostages. Our purpose here today, and in general as a team, is simple and clear: to raise our voices so that Evyatar's story is heard by political leaders and policymakers, by media personalities, and by community members, to push for freedom from brutal captivity for Evyatar and all of the hostages. Governor and Mrs. Kemp, you always encourage Georgians to rally around the causes we believe in. So thank you for making this cause your cause and for making our voice your voice. And to the members of the press who are all gathered here today, we appreciate you taking the time to listen and to share this urgent and painful topic. So Governor Kemp and then Eli, we're honored now to hear your voices.
Well, good afternoon. I want to thank you all for joining us on such a painful and solemn occasion. Bart, I want to thank you and Eden for organizing today's events and for being such tireless champions for our friends and allies in Israel. I too want to recognize our Consul General, Anat. You have been an incredible friend to the people of our state. You have been an effective and a passionate leader, someone that Marty and I have had the pleasure of getting to know over the last several years, both in peacetime and war. But also, most importantly, when visiting the country of Israel, you were such a great tour guide and host for us, so we appreciate you so much. I want to thank you for your hard work and your commitment. Because of you, the relationship between our two peoples is stronger than ever, and we will sorely miss your leadership as your time in this post draws to an end. So thank you again for all that you have done. Our First Lady, Marty Kemp, and I know that her good work, as is the case with everyone here today, is not finished. We still have a mission to complete, lasting peace to achieve, and separated family members to reunite. Today, as was mentioned earlier, we are honored by the presence of Eli, David, brother of Evyatar, and Matan, Evan's cousin. Thank you both for being with us today, for your courage in sharing your loved one's story. Evyatar, like so many others, was an innocent non-combatant who was kidnapped on that horrific day that is now seared in our collective memories, October the 7th. And like the other hostages taken by Hamas in the Gaza Strip, they have been held in dark and horrible dungeons for over 640 days. They have been chained, beaten, starved, dehydrated, and emotionally tortured. Evyatar and his good friend Guy were taken together on that terrible day almost 2 years ago, and their families have not rested or been at peace for even a moment ever since. In a show of twisted psychological terror on February 22nd of this year, Hamas brought Evyatar and Guy out of the tunnels and made them watch the release of other hostages being returned to their families. The terrorists filmed their reactions, forced them to follow a choreographed script, and then returned them to the dungeons before broadcasting the video to the world. One of the photos that you see beside me is a still shot taken from that Hamas video. You can see yourself how beat down, malnourished, and tortured these two young men are. The other photo that we have today is of Evyatar, taken under normal circumstances before the events on October the 7th. You can see the incredible difference between the two images and the horrible toll this ordeal has taken on a life that really had just begun. These are the faces that we are here to remember today, but also in the days to come. We know that just this past week, President Trump hosted Prime Minister Netanyahu in Washington to discuss the hopes and plans for a ceasefire, discussions that continue as we speak. And we're certainly praying that this peace will come quickly and that all the remaining hostages will be returned to their families as part of that negotiated peace, including Evyatar. But until that day comes, whenever it comes, I'm here on behalf of all Georgians to say that we will continue to stand with the Jewish people and the state of Israel, now and for as long as it takes to end this war and ensure the safety of all Israelis. That support from well before roughly 1,200 civilians were attacked and killed in the October 7th attacks to this moment has been unwavering, and it will remain so. From the anti-hate crimes and anti-BDS legislation passed under this very gold dome that I had the honor of signing into law, to the roughly $25 million in active Israel bonds owned by the state of Georgia, the creation of the Georgia-Israel Caucus, the law enforcement exchange programs we participate in, the multiple trips members of my administration have taken to meet with the Israeli government and business leaders, and so many other measures. Real Georgians want you to know that we have your back, and that we will have Evyatar's back, Guy's back, and the backs of all those still held captive by evil men who pursue hatred rather than peace, bitterness rather than purpose. As we pray without ceasing for the safe return of the hostages and for the safe and peaceful Israel, we are reminded of the hopeful words from Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not become weary. They will walk and not faint. We put our trust in the Lord, Adonai, and that trust has been rewarded again and again. Less than 3 weeks ago, we saw that faith put into action when military planes from our own country soared on wings like eagles across the globe, undetected, and delivered a crippling blow to the nuclear capabilities of Hamas benefactor, the Iranian regime. That historic operation was a joint venture between the almighty forces of the United States and Israel, and its incredible success is just the latest reminder of what we can achieve when we work together. So we will continue to wait upon and put our faith in the God of Abraham. We will pray and mourn and rejoice together when the innocent are finally returned home and peace is won. And we will not forget these men and women who need our help right now, whose strength we must all work together to renew, who must continue to walk in those dark tunnels by faith and not grow weary. May God bless Evyatar and his fellow hostages. God bless the people in the state of Israel, and may God bless these United States as we proudly stand with our ally against anti-Semitism in all its evil forms. Amen. It is my pleasure to now bring up Evyatar's brother alive to hear some words from him. Welcome.
Before I begin, I want to take a moment to express my deepest thanks to the wonderful Jewish community of Atlanta and to Ora Torah community specifically. Thank you for embracing Evyatar and my family with such warmth and such care. To the Miriam Institute, thank you for your unwavering support from the very beginning. And a special thanks to Benjamin Anthony, who first introduced me to this incredible, incredible community. And finally, to Eden, Barak, Aaron, Governor Kemp, First Lady Kemp, the governor's team, and everyone behind the scenes, thank you for your dedication and for making this event possible. It's more than 21 months since October 7th, and still this day, this October 7th, this disaster still echoes in my mind like it was yesterday. On October 7th, Evyatar and 3 of his friends went to celebrate, to dance on the Nova Festival near the Gazan border. When the attack started and hundreds of terrorists stormed the festival area, they tried to hide. Evyatar and Guy had that gut feeling that something is wrong and they have to split up. Evyatar and Guy found themselves hiding 300 feet from where Ron and Idan, a boy and a girl, which became a couple just 2 weeks before the festival, were hiding. Ron and Idan were killed a couple of minutes later, and Evyatar and Guy got kidnapped. They were sent to the dungeons of Gaza, and they were broadcasted on the same day for all the world to see, when they're handcuffed, when they're terrified, when they were looking straight into the camera in one of Hamas's propaganda videos, trying to make us terrified and horrified as well. But since that day, we understood Evyatar is alive, which was a privilege for us, a sad one, but still a privilege. And we decided as family that no matter what, we will fight until Evyatar is home, on his feet, and we have to stay united as family, because when he comes back, we will be there to support him. Since then, we traveled many times across the Atlantic Ocean, trying to make Evyatar's story, making Guy's story as visible as we can. Evyatar and Guy are childhood friends. They know each other since they're 1. They went to the same kindergarten. They grew up together. They both love the same music, love the same TV shows, same sports. They both play guitar brilliantly. And for the last few years, Evyatar and I are playing music every week at my parents'. It became a tradition. I play the piano and he plays the guitar. And it became a special moment every Friday that we are bonding, having fun as brothers, singing. And anytime I manifest Evyatar's return, I'm thinking about those special moments when he plays the guitar and I play the piano. When the released hostages came back on last February, after the hideous video was released, they told us that there is one thing especially that holds them up down there. And for Evyatar, it was the same manifestation that I am manifesting. It was so important for him to tell me through the released hostages that he misses playing music with me, like we did every Friday. And knowing that we manifest the same thing, although we are so far away and so disconnected for so long, really brought me into tears of frustration and joy and hope and pain. Everything came together. But I think it reminded me how strong our connection is, our bond is, and how music is something that connects us. It feels like we are in crucial times right now. And hearing on the news that maybe something is going on right now for the hostage families, it's a roller coaster of feelings, of ups and downs. Because everything that is happening right now, which is disappointing for us, it's crushing, really. It's crushing, it's devastating. And we went into that roller coaster for many times. And we hope that President Trump, with his government, with Prime Minister Netanyahu, that they all work on a plan that will bring all the hostages, all of them, no separation, not only Evyatar and Guy, but all the hostages, all 50 of them, all these precious souls, that are suffering so much right now will be home, and we will not have to feel this separation again, because I think the Jewish heart has bled enough, and we need to make that stop. So thank you, everyone, for coming here, and please send your prayers, send your focus, your energy to those who are right now in need. They need our prayers. They need our strength to stay hopeful that they will return home eventually, because for them it's the hardest right now. So please send your prayers to them, and I thank you very much for being here.
Okay, thank you, Eli. And at this point, we'd like to invite the Consul General to the Southeast, Anat Sultan Dadon, to say a few words, and then we'll close it out. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone who are here. Thank you, Governor and First Lady, for today, but for your long-standing support of Israel, but more than that, support of the human values that we all share. And I think that is the point that is most important, that for 643 days now, 50 hostages remain in brutal captivity. But for those 643 days, their family members, like Eli and Matan, have been busy day and night, going all around the world, using their voices to remind everyone that this has to end, that they have to return. And I think that your embracement of that is a reminder that it is not only the family member's responsibility. It's a responsibility that we all share. This is not only about them, it is about us. We are not right until they are not all home with us. And so thank you, everyone, for being here. And Eli, I wish for you to play music with Evyatar soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. That will conclude our formal program here. Thank you, Governor Kemp, First Lady Marty Kemp, Eli, Matan, and Consul General. It was wonderful to be together and to share these thoughts. And Eli will be here afterwards to continue to answer questions and to spend some time together. We appreciate everybody being here. There are flyers on your seats. If anyone would like to learn more, there is a QR code that you can follow. And please continue to raise your voices until all of our hostages are returned. Thank you so much.
You were just listening in as Governor Brian Kemp and members of an Israeli hostage's family joined him at the Georgia Capitol to call for the release of hostage Evyatar David and all the other hostages still held in Israel. The tenacity of Evyatar's family has really been at the forefront here as his brother Eli and other family members have traveled the globe, raising awareness for his plight, being a hostage still held in Gaza. Evyatar and his best friend, Guy Gilboa Dalal, were both at the Nova Music Festival when Hamas took them hostage. And since then, they've spent over 600 days in captivity and 21 months. Evyatar has had 2 birthdays in captivity, according to his brother Eli. One of the more interesting points of what we were just listening to, we heard from the governor We heard from Eli David, Evyatar David's older brother, and we also heard from the Consul General of Israel. But Eli spoke a little bit about how his brother Evyatar was able to get a message to him through the other hostages who were released, and how they shared the same manifestations of peace, playing music together, and how that's keeping both of them going. He spoke a little bit about how incredible it was that he and his brother had the same dreams, even though they have not been able to speak for over 600 days. They're still holding on to the same hopes for peace and for a release of all the hostages in Israel. So right now we're watching as Governor Brian Kemp greets other leaders here at the state capitol. We know that Evyatar David's case has been adopted by organizations here in Atlanta as family members of the hostages try to keep awareness of the situation of the hostages alive. They want to make sure that people don't forget about what's going on, and they want to make sure that the hostages come home. We know that 50 are still being held in Gaza and 20 are believed to be alive still. Evyatar David is one of those still believed to be alive in Gaza. So we will continue to keep you updated on this story as we learn any new details. Right now we know that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did visit with the White House this week as President Trump tries to push for a ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel. And so we will keep you updated right here in Fox Local as we learn any new details about the potential impacts of that deal, and of course, as those on both sides advocate for peace in the region. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and return you to a